Hello YouTube. This is Eunice and I'm so happy to be here doing another video with you guys again today. So today we are going to cover how to let go of desperation, of this feeling of neediness, not just in relationships, but in the general course of things, in the course of our lives, when we want something, when we desire something, how do we play in the playing field of our heart's desire, and how do we not feel desperate? So how I describe this feeling of desperation is like this constricting feeling, this forcefulness, this feeling that is connected with fear, hopelessness, maybe a sense of loss. So this is what I'm talking about. So if this resonates with you, if this is what you are currently going through, I would love for you to just keep listening throughout this video. And of course, if you like this video, please give me a massive thumbs up as well as subscribe to my channel. So let's begin. The difference between wanting something with all of your heart and wanting something from a place of desire versus a place of desperation is that when we are desiring something from our hearts and our soul is lightened up from this feeling, is that it's really coming from a place of knowing that it's going to happen. It's like having a sense of certainty over it. And when you're coming from that place, there is so much excitement, there's so much joy, there's so much to look forward to. You know, you're playful, you're curious. Versus when you're coming from a place of desperation, it's like you feel like it has to happen, and you're always checking every single moment, is it here yet? Has it happened yet? Did I get it yet? Is it here yet? You know, it's like never being able to sit still. So what we experience on an emotional level when we are in a place of abundance is this having the sense of curiosity and playfulness and excitement, you know, and you feel it in your heart. And in the same way, when you're experiencing desperation on an emotional level, you also feel it with your heart, but you're feeling all the sense of anxiety. Maybe you're feeling really restless. Maybe you can't really sleep. So what happened when I was experiencing desperation, like when I want something but I couldn't let go of it, I couldn't walk away from it, I wanted something and I kept revisiting it again and again, it didn't feel good. So what happened when I was in that state was that all I knew was I couldn't get into the state of flow. I couldn't be my best self. There was no creativity whatsoever. I couldn't write, I couldn't create. I was not tapping into the things that I wanted to do, and when I was doing it, it was not in the best energy. When I was doing it, I was not having fun. There was no sense of joy. I was not looking forward to it. I was not inspired. Like I'm smiling, I'm laughing about it right now because, you know, I've overcome it obviously, but you know, just thinking about the version of me then versus the version of me now, the one that you're seeing in camera, I was a whole different person when I was in that desperation state. Like I couldn't possibly have come to you on camera and be able to say all of this and share this with you with an open heart. It wouldn't have been possible. So the more I felt that way, the more the feeling compounded. So I started feeling very frustrated with myself. I started feeling I started beating myself up. Like I felt like I couldn't do well enough. I couldn't control my emotions. I couldn't control how I felt. I couldn't fix how I feel. I couldn't change my state. I couldn't raise my vibes. It was like all that feeling. So over time, that got compounded. And then over time, I got more and more frustrated with myself. So to a point where I would find myself procrastinating, because the more I visited that feeling, the more I felt that way, and the poorly I felt about myself. The more discouraged I feel. So it really wasn't getting anywhere. So I decided that something in my energy needed to change. And this is exactly what this video is about. I really wanted to share with you how I switched up my energy. It was not a matter of it wasn't a matter of switching it in a day. It was a realization. It was opening my eyes to seeing the world differently. It was seeing myself differently, seeing the situation differently. But I didn't really know where to begin. So I started very slow. I started very small. I experimented with a lot of things, but what I found to be helpful was that I started asking, why was I feeling desperate in the first place? Where was this feeling coming from? And I realized that my mind was giving me all sorts of evidence to feel desperate. When I asked myself, this feeling, how did I gather all this evidence that was making me feel desperate? I realized that it was my mind that was giving me all the clues, the pieces to feel more and more desperate. My mind was telling me that it would take a long time. My mind was saying, this is going to be hard. Who am I to do this? Who am I to achieve this? Who am I to create this? Who am I to say this? And then I would always also ask questions like, who else is struggling? Who else didn't have the results? Who else failed? Oh, that person. That person didn't make it because of this. And then I realized that all the questions I was asking, this was huge for me. All the questions that I was asking pointed towards more evidence that gave me more reason to feel desperate. So emotionally, I was feeling a certain way, but I had to find logic to justify the way that I was feeling. And so the questions I asked myself invited more of that evidence for me to continue to feel that way. So that was number one, that was my realization. So through this massive light bulb moment for me, I had a whole new level of awareness that came through me. So what I changed was I started asking questions that supported the belief and the idea that gave me the evidence that I'm going to have what I wanted, that it was going to be fun, that supported the evidence that I could have the things that I wanted. So then when I changed the questions I asked very intentionally, and of course this happened over a period of time, but over time, when you practice with more consistency and when you open your eyes to the things that you say to yourself, the questions you ask yourself, the way that you ask yourself things, you will be so much more aware of how you talk to yourself, how you invite more evidence to support how you feel. This was number one. And what I've also learned is that we always make assumptions about events that has not yet happened. Or maybe we're always so certain that it's so difficult. We have this belief that it has to be hard, and it usually is for one reason. And the reason is that we actually have many, many layers of unresolved stories, beliefs, limiting beliefs. We have a lot of clutter that's going on in the back of our minds, and it creates layers and layers of resistance that is standing in our way. And I'm not just talking about like just one thing that, you know, as soon as you can unblock, then you can be trucking forward effortlessly. I'm talking about a resistance that is so great that you don't even know where to begin. What do you do then? So what I found to be very helpful, number 2, is that I started just pulling out a notebook or pulling out a journal, and I started decluttering. And what decluttering served a purpose for me was that I was able to completely dump everything that I had on my mind, all the clutter, all the junk, all the limiting beliefs, all the rubbish beliefs onto paper. And I was able to bring whatever's happening in the subconsciousness to the consciousness. I was able to actually see what I was experiencing on the inside. This was very helpful for me to become aware of all of these things, almost like connected in little pieces and little dots. And I was able to see how one thing, one belief led to the other and led to the other and led to the other, and all these, and it just drew a full circle. And I could connect to all those dots and see how I got to where I am in terms of my belief. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my goodness. I arrived at the way that I feel right now because of all this clutter that was happening in my mind. Unbelievable. But after I did that exercise, after I started doing that consistently, day in, day out, at first, I started doing it every single day. And then over time, you know, whenever I feel something that kind of feels like, you know, it feels like a bit of a restriction, it feels like a bit of a resistance, I feel just uneasy about this, or I feel a bit desperate towards a thing that I want and I feel like I can't have it, then I pull out my journal and I declutter. The sense of relief, the sense of just like feeling like there's a huge burden that is off of my shoulders and off of my back, it's indescribable. And it feels so good. So these are my main 2 suggestions. When you start to feel like you want something real bad and you're not able to tap into the fun of it, you're not able to come from a place of just pure heart's desire, I would start with these 2. And let me know if you have tried these 2 steps, if you have tried these 2 methods over, I would say, like, at least give it a try at least for a week. And let me know, come back into this video and let me know how it has worked out for you. I would love, love, love to hear, you know, your experience, your takeaway, what you have realized, how you're progressing, how you're experiencing this, and then just, you know, let me know your feedback and how you feel now. So this is what I have for you in this video. If you guys haven't joined me inside the New Reality community already, I am giving you an open invitation to join my Facebook group. So what it is it's a very supportive community. We have a lot of fun. I have live free master classes in there, live trainings, and you guys can get more of this goodness inside my Facebook group. So I would love to get to know you more in there. We'll have such an interactive time there. And I can't wait to get to know you more. So I'll see you inside. The link is gonna be in the description below. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do. And I'll see you guys in the next video.